Good morning or good evening YouTube. So I'm back here with another video, and we don't have any more pay to win videos coming. Now we are back to all of the good stuff like guides and talking about new heroes that are coming in the near future here. And first of all, we're going to take a look at the limited hero that we will have on Friday. He is called Boreas. He is from the Forgotten. He's a defense type and he's a green mark hero. As I said, he's a limited hero, which means that you only have 14 days to pull for him. Get as many copies as you can. Otherwise, you have to wait 1 year to be able to pull him with or summon him with Supreme and Excellent runes. Or you can, of course, use your money on him, which will cost you around $100 per copy of this hero. So you definitely want to try and get as many copies of this hero this time as you can. Okay, but let's take a look at his skill set. Let's just take a look at how he is going to perform at exclusive 0 if you just get 1 copy, because that is one of the baselines for free to play. Is like, can he be used at exclusive 0? Can he be used at exclusive 1? Because most people won't have exclusive 3, right? So let's take a look. Let's take a look here. So first of all, what I can tell you is that he's a direct damage dealer. He is HP based, so you want to have a lot of HP on him. He's also scaling with crit damage and crit rate. He won't benefit from any mastery at all. So how you will be building him is with a crit cap, so 100% crit rate, and then as much HP and crit damage as possible, with skill damage as the most important thing. But we will come to that. So basic attack is just 2 stages of direct damage by 16%, so 32% in total, which is fine, but it's to a single enemy, so not AoE. Then we have the S2 here, his first special attack. It deals 4 stages of direct damage by 10% of Boreas max HP, each to a single enemy. So also a single target ability does 40% of his HP as damage. If we compare him with Gacha, it is pretty much the same. I think she's also doing 40% HP damage, and Gacha hits pretty hard, to be honest. After exclusive 5 she actually hits pretty hard. So, and then it says afterwards deals crit damage, 90% crit damage and 90% mastery from the target, which caps at 150% of his initial skill damage. So initial skill damage means the skill damage that he has before the battle. So auras like versatility aura will not count for this ability, okay? So the only way you can get it is like Devour gear. If you have 2 sets of that, that's 38%. And then you can have some skill damage blessings. Maybe you have 2 of those with 10%, so it's going to be 20. So you'll have 58% of skill damage. Let's just round it up. So let's say you have 11% of skill damage, or 12 and 10 or whatever. Let's just say 60% skill damage is possible from double Devour and skill damage blessings. Without using any of the S tier ones, right? And that will be the cap. So that is 150% of 60 is obviously 90%. Okay, so that's his cap. You want to have as close as 60% skill damage as possible to cap out on this. Okay, but he's stealing it after he's done it at damage. Okay, so the crit damage and mastery that he kind of steals from the target is going to happen after his attack. So his first attack will be pretty weak, and then after that he's gonna kind of get into a rolling situation where he can alternate, right, between S2 and S4, but we'll get to that. It also says here that Boreas gains 100% of the stolen attributes for 2 turns, okay? So that's pretty nice, and it actually doesn't say, like, there's no duration on this here, okay? That's the crazy part here. I don't see a duration on the steal part. It just says that he will get the 100% for 2 turns. We'll have to test him tomorrow on Thursday, obviously, in the trial arena. But he might just steal 180% crit damage and mastery. And then the target doesn't have that. It doesn't really say anything about that. Anyways, let's move on. Passive here. If he has the highest initial HP among all allies, he'll also gain 100% piercing rate, so you definitely want that. And he's also going to be immune to CC, so you want him to have the highest initial HP. So you cannot use him together with the new mythic hero Tierlists, because she also wants the highest initial HP to be CC immune, right? So you cannot use those 2 together, but you probably wouldn't do that anyways, although he has some pursue and attack, and she has some pursue and attack, which is kind of good, but yeah, that's just how it is. So, and you probably don't want to pair him with Erato either, because Erato usually also have a lot of HP, right? So you'll try to see if you can get more HP than the other ones on your team. Anyways, then it says here, when an ally steals attributes from an enemy, he deals direct damage by 10%. So he does a counter attack kind of, or pursue an attack, right? After any unit's turn starts, every enemy can trigger this effect up to 2 times. So if you pair him with someone like Morikis, he will actually do his this pursue and attack from the beginning of the battle, because Morikis will steal some attack and stuff from the beginning of the battle. So that's also pretty nice to know about, right? And then the S4 here, he can revive people, so he's a reser. And he will also put a Icewing spread debuff, which is probably going to be a unique buff, the purple one, so you cannot remove it, right? And it's going to make you immune to damage up to 3 layers, and 1 layer will be removed each time the owner takes damage from basic attack or active skill. This one here is the Joker, okay? If this one here, and especially with the exclusives, but if that is good, like if it's more like you know, Sutur, he also got something like this, right, with the burn team, and that one, it looked pretty broken on paper, but it turned out to not be so broken. But then we have someone like Giselle, where you're taking 1 damage, and this one is just a straight up damage immunity, right? So we'll see how that works, we'll see how strong it is, okay? It sounds very strong on paper though, but let's move on here. So he's also going to do 3 stages of direct damage by 13% each, so 39%, to all enemies. So this is an AoE ability. And afterward, after he's done the attack, he steals 90% basic attack and 90% skill damage from all enemies, which also caps at 150%. So, but he only gets 20% of that. So basically, what I'm thinking is that you're going to do S2 and then S4, and then he will have a lot of crit damage, he will have a lot of direct damage, skill damage and basic damage. And yeah, I think he might actually do some damage. He's probably going to do a bit of damage, but the most important part is actually that he's stealing it from the enemy. So he's kind of debuffing them and helping you to not take so much damage, which is obviously a good thing, right? So these are his exclusive 0 abilities. I think overall, like, there's no, well, he does have the immunity to damage buff, right? And he has a res, which is already good. Depends how like how strong this effect is, right? We will have to see that. But I think that it has some potential on exclusive 0 for sure. And also the part about stealing stuff is also going to help you a bit in PvP, because he will steal a lot of stuff here. But he has to go fast here at exclusive 0, right? He has to be faster than someone like Ansi or Marie or whatever to steal the stuff here before they actually hit something, right? But we'll see how it goes. With the exclusives though, obviously he's much stronger. So let's go and take a look at that. With his exclusive 1, his S2 will also remove all buffs from target before dealing damage, which is nice. And if he has the highest initial attack, HP, at the beginning of allies' turns, he will cleanse 1 layer of debuffs from them, which is also very nice. And then he has a counter to Giselle actually. For every 10 layers of dot debuffs inflicted on allies by an enemy, Boreas cleanses all dot debuffs from all allies and casts Endless Eyes, which is his S4, to counter attack the enemy once. So basically, Giselle goes, if you proc Giselle, she counter attacks with S4, she applies all of this here, he cleanses all of it, and he applies the Endless Eyes here, which gives the damage immunity, plus he will do an AoE ability, plus he will steal all the basic attack damage and skill damage from all enemies, okay? Or at least steal up to like 90% of it. So if you use him against CC team, for example, he's going to steal a lot of basic attack damage from Tyrell and from Reyna. So they won't really hit that hard after that. I think this guy, he will counter the CC team for sure, I think. Because he's kind of stealing all of the stuff that makes the CC team very strong. So we'll see how that goes. And he's also CC immune, right? And he removes dots and stuff like that. So I think that's very interesting against that. Now, exclusive 2 here, each time he does the Icewing spread on allies, he will also increase the turn meter by 10% on allies. It can only be triggered once during any turn, so you can actually do that every time he does the Ice Wing spread if they've taken a turn, right? So a lot of turn meter, to be honest. At the beginning of each wave, steals 200% crit damage and 200% mastery from all enemies. Caps at 300% of his skill damage, okay? So again, if you have 60% skill damage, you're gonna do 3 times that, so 180%, which is still good. If you want to get to the 200%, you need like 67% skill damage, I think. So you probably need a bit better blessings. Although, and this is an although, and it depends on how the wording is. But if you read it very carefully, it just said skill damage respectively, okay? So it doesn't say anything about initial skill damage. So maybe it includes the aura of versatility, right? I don't know at this part here. But we'll have to test that tomorrow as well, okay? And then he gets 5% of that, which is nothing, to be honest. It's like 10% crit damage and 10% mastery. So that's nothing. That's really nothing, to be honest. He gets 10% crit damage from stealing it. So the good part about it is definitely the debuffing about like stealing or removing the crit damage and mastery from the enemies. And again, it doesn't say how long the duration is of this one here, so he just steals it. The 2-turn duration down here, that is him getting the 5% of it every time he does the thing, right? Or for the first 2 turns. So it doesn't say that this one here is just for the first 2 turns, okay? We'll have to test that on Thursday as well to see if this is just for 2 turns or well. If it's not for just 2 turns, then he is definitely broken, because you will permanently have removed 200% crit damage and 200% mastery from all enemies for the rest of the battle, which would be insanely broken, to be honest, right? Because you can remove it from the beginning of the wave. So all of a sudden, Anse only have like 400% crit damage instead of 600. And the same with Maurice, you'll have like half of the crit damage that you normally have. And 200% mastery is basically removing all the mastery from most heroes, so we'll have to see about that one. That could be broken, that could be broken. Let's see exclusive 3 here. Grants all allies 3 layers of Ice Wing spread at the beginning of each wave, which also means that he will proc the 10% turn meter on all allies from the beginning of the battle. So if you have exclusive 3, you're also gonna get the 10% turn meter. So you will be able to go first here, I think. And then 3 layers of that is great because we are removing 1 layer every time it takes some damage, right? At the beginning of allies' turns, they gain 1 layer of Ice Wing spread, which can still be triggered after Boreas dies. So this part here, I also had to read a few times because it just sounds bonkers, right? At the beginning of allies' turns, they gain 1 layer of Ice Wing spread. So allies take a turn, they get damage immunity, but then their turn finishes, they would have like lost the buff, right? But what I'm thinking, and this is just me thinking it, okay? And you guys can agree with me in comments if you like. But I'm thinking this is a way to try and counter the HP deduction from Apsara. You know, have you seen that thing where you where you get your turn in arena, and because of all the damage that Apsara has like deducted, right? You just pop, like you just die instantly. Like it's like a one shot. You just die, right? You've probably seen that on your own team a few times. I think this is to kind of remove that effect. That is to kind of try and hinder that from happening. So depends if this one goes before or after the Apsara HP deduction. If it goes before, then you cannot take damage, which Apsara's thing is not ignoring damage immunity, so you would be not dying from it. You get what I mean? So I think that is one of the things that the developers maybe tried to find a solution for the HP deduction of Apsara, right? Because if you use Apsara at the moment in PvP, you have a huge advantage, and all of a sudden all of the enemy teams just die, because if they don't have a Nikki especially, then they just one pop. They just die. That's how it is, okay? But this one could be a counter to that. We will also have to see that in Trial Arena tomorrow, Thursday, right? When any ally is revived, they gain 100% turn meter, and afterward grants all allies 1 layer of Ice Wing Spirit. So You get the damage immunity right after revive as well, which is huge. And then it also says something interesting here. When he launches basic attack or casts active skills, he will pursue and attack the target with an additional basic attack or active skill once. Which means that if you're doing S2, for example, he will cast it one more time. And you can see here that he can steal stuff here from 2 times. But it also means that the second attack, the first attack will steal the crit damage and the mastery, and the second attack will actually have that crit damage built in for the second attack, right? Do you understand me? So, and plus he will steal it 2 times, so 180% crit damage and mastery will be stolen like very fast, right? And the same thing down here, it's 180% basic attack and skill damage, and for the second attack here he will have the skill damage built in, right, on top of his own skill damage. So I think that sounds very, very nice. For me, this hero here is definitely a must-have, but we will test him tomorrow, first day, and see how strong he is and how wrong we are about what we are reading. That is also interesting, right? Have a nice evening, guys. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye.